Hey, what's going on, everybody? I got another podcast here for the Mr. Super Potato Podcast, Episode 3. And today we got the full Spud Club. I got my buddy Dave and Mikey. How do you guys like the Spud Club as a stupid nickname?
I'd been happy with, tater tots or,
I don't know.
waffle
Anyways,
fries. I don't know, man. It's good to go.
all right, so let's go around the room here. Dave, you want to say hi? Tell everybody what you've been up to, what you've been playing.
Hey, what's up? My name's Dave. I was on that first podcast. Hey, Mikey. Well, lately I've just been playing some that AVGN collection again. I've been playing some more of that.
Okay.
I've been playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and I've been playing Minecraft with the boy. So
Awesome. Good
that's
deal.
what I've been on lately.
Mikey, what you up to?
Just honestly, same.
We lost you, Mikey.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up. But go ahead.
Okay. That Kirby's Forgotten Land.
Hey, something's up with your connection. Hold on, I'm gonna pause it. Hang on.
Okay. Hey guys, what's up? It's Mikey. I haven't really been playing much anything different. Still with Kirby Forgotten Land. I actually put down Assassin's Creed because I've been playing Kirby so much. Nothing really much since last podcast.
All right, Dave, are you having problems hearing him?
Yeah, he's a little in and out.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Hey guys, it's Mikey V. As far as games I've been picking up, haven't really picked anything else up new. Just been playing Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I actually put down Assassin's Creed Valhalla because I've been playing Kirby so much. Other than that, nothing really else new.
All right, makes sense. Like, have you gotten like the Ubisoft fatigue from Assassin's Creed? You know what I mean by that? Like, it's the same repetitive thing over and over.
So I actually kind of similar to you. Like I tried to pick up Black Flag, and I probably got in 2 or 3 hours of Black Flag, and it was honestly my approach to it was because the world was so massive, and I know people may not like this answer, but because it was so massive, I think I was playing it was Ultimate at that time.
Yeah.
To me, it just seemed more of a chore to try to get into the game. And this one, I'm actually not finding that problem. I guess because I actually recently I made the decision to put Call of Duty down because that's the game that I've been so burnt out on. I put down Call of Duty and kind of picked up Valhalla, and then Kirby came out not too long afterwards, and so I was like, well, I guess I'm picking up Kirby now. So
Okay.
that's really how it went.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm gonna go into my intros real quick. So, as you guys know, I've been playing Spider-Man Miles Morales. If you've been watching my streams, I've also been playing this game called FAR, Changing Tides. Actually, I'm gonna play that in the background through this podcast. You guys can see how that game goes. It's on Game Pass, so if you got Game Pass, you can pick that one up and just play it. It's kind of fun. Other things I want to get into. So, what I talked about during my channel update video throughout, I forgot what day I pushed it out, but someone had asked to give me donations, and I don't think you guys should be paying money for me to play video games. I think that's kind of ridiculous. I want you guys as the viewers to sit back and enjoy the content we put out. But if you do feel like you need to donate to us, I set up a donation fund for St. Jude. So it's under the Mr. Super Potato fund for St. Jude and the Children's Hospital, and everything's going to be linked in the description, and it'll be linked in all of my videos from now forward. And if you guys think of a different charity you guys want to get into, let me know. I'll research it and I'll see if I agree with the charity. And also, I'll ask the Spud Club as well. See what you guys think about the charity. Next, we got a Discord. So you guys have been asking to put stuff up and send me links to stuff. Well, links, whatever reason, won't work in the YouTube chat. So Discord's up. You guys can send stuff out that way. And lastly, we hit 100 subscribers on the channel. So that was neat. That's a small goal, but I'm happy to make it. That's it for my intro. So topics. Dave, you wanted to talk about retro pickups. What'd you grab?
Yeah. While I was on that work trip, you know how I get, my eyes start to wander around eBay and stuff. So I start to, I get bored, but I picked up I picked up some new Game Boy stuff. We talked about how I've got a pretty big Game Boy collection.
Yeah.
But I picked up Turok 3 on the Game Boy Color. I picked up Turok Rage Wars also on the Game Boy Color. I picked up Turok 2, which was one of those black carts, Game Boy black carts, which you could use either on the regular Game Boy or the Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
Right. But the funny thing is I already had Turok 2. So it's like, oops, there's $20 down the drain. But I also picked up Duke Nukem on the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Color. And I finished up my Uno subset for Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color.
Okay. So do you have every version of Turok that's come out?
No, not yet.
Are you going for like a complete Turok collection?
I would like to, and I'm trying to do the same with Duke Nukem as well. And of course, I'm going to keep it to consoles that I mostly play. So it's like my Game Boy stuff, the Nintendo 64 stuff, and the PlayStation ecosystem.
Got you.
But yeah.
I have Turok 1 and 2 on PC. I didn't even know it came out for PC until Amazon gave it to me for free. I was like, well, now I have Turok 1 and 2 on PC.
Well, I've got those also on Switch downloaded. And my order from Limited Run Games actually shipped of my 2 Turok Collector's Editions for PS4. So I'm pretty excited to get those in as well. Grew up playing Turok. It was probably one of the first-person shooters that I really fell in love with, minus Doom, of course.
Yeah.
But, I'm really looking forward to getting those in.
I think everybody over the age of 30 that got into gaming started with Doom. Yeah. Sorry, Mikey, that wasn't you, but definitely, dude. I think I talked about this on the first podcast.
Doom Junior over there.
Yeah, he's playing Chex Mex. Was it Chess Quest? That's what it is. Oh, I gotta get Chess Quest.
Doom.
That's what Chex Quest basically is, man.
Oh, speaking of Chex Quest, the one that's available on the Switch,
it's
the Chex Quest HD. It's not the original.
Oh.
So it kind of loses something with the quote unquote upgraded graphics.
Do they have like the scan lines you can put on it? You know what I mean? Like, do they have a way to downgrade it?
I don't think so. I looked through the options. There wasn't like a revert to original settings or anything like that, which was kind of a bummer because I like that old Doom aesthetic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I know with the Master Chief Collection, or maybe not the collection, but Halo 2, if you got like the anniversary edition or the remaster, you can switch it back to the old graphics, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, this Halo CE did that too. You could switch it back and forth. Like, I remember messing around with it and just being like, well, I'm used to the new graphics now. I'm not going back. So it's cool for a minute, but that's about it.
It's like, here, let me strain my eyes a little bit more.
Yeah.
Is that a hit or a box?
That's crazy how far we've come in just, 20 years.
Definitely.
So, all right. So, Mikey, you want to get into the Wii U and how you feel about it and where we're at with it now? First off, do you still own a Wii U?
No, I think I actually sold. Man, what happened to mine? I want to say I sold it, which I don't remember what led to that decision. It may have been to obtain something else. But I remember when I was in my introductory school in 2013 or no 14. It was between the PlayStation 4 and the Wii U, and I think they were advertising a new Donkey Kong Country, which is one of the foundational games that I've loved playing growing up. And so I was like,
Tropical Freeze, right?
Yeah,
probably the one.
Yeah. And so I picked that one up, and that was over the PlayStation 4 because I don't think the PlayStation 4 had that many games that were desirable at that time. And of course, I was like, well, I know I'm going to pick up the new Smash when it comes out, and so on and so forth. So I ended up picking that one up, and I think it was an awesome system, awesome console. It just I don't want to say ahead of its time. I just don't think the technology that they were trying to put on that system was advanced enough yet. I don't, maybe they didn't work out enough kinks, because if you don't know, the premise of it is, hey, say, like you're a kid again, say your dad wants to watch, a football game or whatever, and you're playing your Nintendo Wii U.
Yeah.
Well, so okay, well, I can switch my screen to my handheld version and basically continue my game from the TV to my handheld screen. And it was a really, really cool thing. I just don't think uh it was almost like a upgraded Nintendo DS in a sense. You could still use, while you're projecting your screen on the TV, you could still use your handheld controller, to, look at the map or navigate your inventory, whatever. But it really, they didn't make a lot of games um that took advantage of that system. And so in turn, there was just a lot of not awkward games, but it just ended up being games that didn't take advantage of it, like I said. And so I want to say the underwhelming sales that it had. Obviously, they came out the Switch maybe 2 or 3 years later. And then if you guys didn't know, like Mario Kart 8, that was eventually ported over from the Wii U to the Switch.
Yep.
I think it was Mario 3D Land that was ported over.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bunch of it. Tropical Freeze was ported over.
Yeah,
as well.
Tropical Freeze. Yeah. And so it really was a really cool idea, but I think the Switch was basically like a Wii U 2.0. And of course, they added, the detachable controllers, and still the same premise. You could see the Wii U in the Switch. It's just perfected is all. And, so really, really cool system. Just, underused technology, I would say, or unperfected.
Underdeveloped for the time, but yeah, I definitely see. Like, how long was the battery life for the tablet / controller?
Say,
From what I recall, it wasn't very long. It was a few hours at most, because my mom still has one, and sometimes my son will play it, when we're over there, and it's like, it seems like he's putting it back on the little charger like every couple hours or so.
I bet you could probably push, like, if you dim, because I think they had the speakers in the controller itself. I think if you lower the volume, dim the brightness, and minimize like the vibration and all that stuff, you could probably push like 6 hours. But to today's
you mean
standards,
turn off all the features?
Yeah, pretty much. If you just didn't use the console, 6 hours.
Jeez. That's awesome. All right. You guys think it's worth picking one up today?
I would not say so. I think the problem that the Wii U had was most consumers couldn't tell the difference between the original Wii and the Wii U.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Over it.
My wife and I, at the time, she was my girlfriend, and we were living in California, and we wanted or she was really big in the Mario Party, like Mario Party 8 and 9, like 10 on the Wii. She didn't really understand the difference between the Wii and the Wii U, and we went to go buy another controller, and we picked up a Wii U controller, and she goes, "Oh, this will work. It says it's for the Wii." I'm like, no, that's not it. She goes, "Well, that's stupid. Why doesn't it work?" It's like, well, I remember just like not even wanting to get into it.
U right there, that's the big difference.
I didn't even want to get into it with her. I just like, no, we got to buy this controller over here.
Just trust me.
Yeah, exactly. She wanted the fancy one, right? It's like, no, it's not going to work. But, well, going back to picking up the Wii U, so you guys are looking at GameCube. Like, if we're going to say another console that didn't do very well for its time, was the GameCube. Now, obviously, that's changed.
My GameCube.
I had one for a little while, but I'm just saying, like, the prices of GameCube stuff is outrageous now. So
the prices of everything is outrageous now, man. We spoke about that prior. The scalpers.
Yeah.
Scalpers and collectors, man, they're just driving it up.
Absolutely. But if you were to buy a Wii U now would be the right time, because it's gonna go up in price. Like it's inevitable, right? It's a system that didn't sell very well. People aren't keeping it unless you're collectors like I wouldn't say I'm a collector, but I do have every Nintendo system other than the GameCube and the Wii U, right? So now would be the time to get it.
In your case, I would get one, just if anything, just to have on the shelf.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I would get a GameCube, but my Wii, my original Wii, right, like launch day Wii works well with GameCube games. So why would I get a GameCube? You know?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, if they had like a special edition, which because I had two GameCubes, sob story. My dad smashed the first one, but
All right,
Okay.
moving on.
that's,
Mike, you
so-
need help? We can come help you.
I'm gonna start flashing SOS.
Yeah.
He just casually says, "Well, my dad smashed my first one anyway."
I was slightly abused as a child, but let's just laugh about it and move on. Jesus Christ.
I'm trying not to draw attention. I'm just saying a quick little note, but
Too bad.
anyway,
You got all the attention.
all the spotlights.
Wait, we're gonna have to change the charity from St. Jude to St. Mikey.
Wait, you remember how we had Smash HQ back on that work trip? Mikey
Yeah.
had the original Smash HQ.
Yeah.
It was called Hammer Time. So
Nice. I'm sorry. I'll leave that one alone now.
yeah. No, so I want to say, oh, man, I can't remember if it was the first or second one, but I think one of the special edition ones. It really wasn't special. It was just like the box that was a special part, but it was a Metroid Prime special edition. So it came with like I think it was a Metroid Prime game, and then I believe it came with a Metroid Prime 2 demo, if I'm not mistaken. And then it had like I think the GameCube itself was a silver GameCube, and I can't remember if the controller was anything special. Mind you, that was like, 14 years ago, 16 years ago, whatever it was. But yeah, if you were gonna pick one up and they had like a collector's edition, oh yeah, it'd be worth, if you can find a decent price on it, sure,
Yeah.
pick that one up.
How much are they going for right now? I have no idea. I've never like even thought of buying one until right now.
Yeah, I gotta hop on eBay real quick.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
I had a GameCube, right? I bought mine. I had the purple one, and since Mikey was talking about the special edition one, I had a regular old purple one, but mine came bundled with that Zelda collector's set. It came with Ocarina, Majora, and the first two Zelda games on the NES, all in one little.
It came with the Wind Waker
Disc.
demo, didn't it?
It came with the Wind Waker demo, yes, but
Yeah.
the game itself was the 4 Ocarina, Majora, Zelda 1 and Zelda 2,
Yeah, man.
which was pretty cool.
Nice.
But,
Wii
I miss
U,
that
you're about
system. I bought that for
$250, $300.
$99, brand new.
Really? The Wii U went for
Yeah.
$99?
Yep. No, the GameCube.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
When I bought the GameCube, yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
That's not
eBay's
terrible.
got it for $165, the Wii U right now.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at the GameCube on eBay, and there's a jet black set, $199.99.
It's not terrible.
So-
That's
No, it's
honestly
not-
like what it
Not
came
too,
out
too
for
bad.
in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
There
I mean,
was
If I could find that with the Game Boy player and the disc that came with the Game Boy player, I would probably spend the money on it, just so I could easily play Game Boy games on the TV.
Why would you go that route? Why wouldn't you get like the Super Nintendo Game Boy player? That's what I would do.
Oh, I mean, there's that as well, but this one plays Game Boy Advance games as well.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
the fact of just like plugging, because I had that, I think it was Legend of Zelda 4 Swords.
Mm.
You could plug in your Game Boy Advance like adapter, and then you could, I believe you would play on your GameCube controller during the main quest, and then when you would go into a dungeon, you would switch over to your Game Boy Color.
Yes, and if you had multiple players, they could each use their Game Boy Advance SPs as their screens. So if you got
Yeah.
4 links running around, the main player is on the GameCube controller, the other players are on their Game Boy Advances, so they don't have to track
Back in the
track
day,
it all
and
on the main
someone,
screen. I love that game. I
yeah,
had a blast playing that
Oh,
one
yeah.
with my friends.
there was another one that was
I
similar
still
to
have
it.
that, by the way.
Let me see. Because I don't think it was Four Swords. Because there was one that was. Let me see. Let me look this up. It was Four Swords Adventure.
That was the
Oh
one
yeah,
on GameCube. Adventure was the one on GameCube, which was
that's
like
right.
the full
That's right.
game. And then the Game Boy Advance had the Game Boy Advance version of A Link to the Past had like a mini game, like
That's right.
almost like a
Mhm.
demo, not like a demo, but it was just like a mini version of Four Swords Adventures. But it
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
called Four Swords, which was
Dude,
also fun.
I could the Four Swords Adventures one, like that was probably one of my more favorite ones. That game just was awesome. That was another one where you could use a Game Boy Advance screen to do your thing, you know. That was really cool.
Yeah, I had a blast playing that. My best friend, we played through it, so we each controlled 2 links, and solved all the puzzles and stuff. I think Vati or whatever was
Yeah,
the
yep.
enemy.
Mhm. What do you
But
think
hey,
about did you ever play Minish Cap?
of course I did. I still have
Okay.
it.
Yeah, that's
Come
another
on,
awesome
man.
game. That's
Who
another
you
awesome
talking
game.
to here? No, yeah, I was really sad that I wasn't on the last podcast when you guys were talking about Zelda stuff. I was like, oh, I'm screaming at my phone, like, no, I want to be a part of the conversation.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
Minish Cap was cool because that was like a prequel to Four Swords Adventures.
Oh, that's right.
Because Vati was a character in that.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, there's so many. That's what I was telling Chris. There's so many Zelda games that are just awesome. Yeah, Minish Cap, Four Swords Adventures,
Dude, the
Twilight
Game Boy ones have
Princess.
always been my favorite. Like Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, Link's Awakening is my all-time favorite Zelda game.
See, and I'll have to get the remaster of that one because that one I've
It
never
was
actually
awesome.
played.
I just played through it again. And beat that one.
And that's the one
Sorry,
with
I'm
like
not trying to talk over you.
No,
I'm
you're good, man.
just excited.
Oh, I get it. That's
All right.
now that's the one with the the volcano and like the dinosaur egg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So everybody heard, or everyone notices something different. So we had issues with Zoom. So now we switched over to Discord. So hopefully you guys can hear us better, more clearer. And we're going to try to get back into what we were talking about. So Dave was upset we were talking about Zelda without him. So Dave, can you finish your thought?
Well, I mean, I wasn't upset. I don't want to say I wasn't like
Don't
crying
lie.
while I was listening to the podcast. But no, I was like, oh man, these guys are talking about Zelda. I love Zelda. I was like, I'll talk about Zelda all day long. But I was screaming at my phone, like, hey, open your copy of Hyrule Historia if you want to know, like, this is the timeline, but
That's what Mikey was
it was
referring
just,
to. Somebody who knew more about this. There
Yeah,
you go.
exactly.
yeah, well,
so yeah,
I'm here now, guys, so it's okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Because I'm genuinely curious. How does all the different Zeldas? Is there like one continuous timeline? I don't think there is, but is there like different universes? How does that work?
No, there's like 3 branching timelines, right? There's one where the hero dies, and they all kind of branch off from Ocarina of Time, at least according to the Hyrule Historia.
Yeah.
So there's the one where Link fails and dies. There's a timeline there. There's the one where he succeeds, and that third timeline. Either way, Breath of the Wild takes place first, followed shortly by, well, not shortly, hundreds of years later, Wind Waker is the next. And then I think Minish Cap takes place here to win.
So is that which timeline is this?
You know what? Give me wait. Which timeline is which one?
One with Breath of the Wild and then Wind Waker.
That's the original timeline, and then it all splits off at Ocarina.
Oh, so those are all like
Which takes
prequels, I
place
guess.
after. Yeah, I mean, if you
Okay.
wanna say it that way.
Okay. And then is Skyward Sword, is that like one of the last, I believe? Or not necessarily?
No, actually, I think Skyward Sword might actually be one of the earlier ones.
We'll have to have like a chart, and then Dave can just walk us through the Zelda
Yeah.
path.
Yeah, dude. Like if I don't have my copy I know I was just talking a bunch of smack about, open your books. Oh, I don't have my copy on me right now. It's downstairs. But
now that you say
I mean, I
that,
could grab it if you'd like.
Let's do that for another podcast. So like Mikey had a good idea. Like he wants me to play through Ocarina of Time, and then we can just have like a whole round table talking about it.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
you could talk hours and hours and hours just about that game alone.
Yeah.
I mean, well, honestly, through a lot of them, but that one specifically, yeah.
Well, I mean, it was groundbreaking when it took Zelda in a whole different direction.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
it held on to the true like heart, soul of the series.
Yeah.
Cool.
I agree.
All right.
But yeah, that is definitely one you want to play.
Well, let's get into this. So we talked about it a little bit before we started the podcast, but the new Breath of the Wild 2, or that's what we're calling it. We don't know the actual name yet. Digital Foundry was talking about how that game is too graphically impressive for the original Switch, or the Switch they have right now, and they're saying there's going to be a new version of the Switch, a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro something, and so Zelda can run properly on it. What do you guys think about it? Do you hope there's going to be a new Switch, or do you not care?
Here's what I think about it. All right. I've had a Switch since launch, and since launch, there have been rumors of a Switch Pro. Since launch, it's like every couple months, somebody has some reason that there's going to be a new Switch Pro, and it never materializes. Now, I wouldn't call that OLED Switch a Switch Pro. It's just got a bigger screen, maybe a better battery, stuff like that.
It's got a better screen. It's an OLED screen,
Yeah, it's
right?
an OLED screen, just like the PlayStation Vita had once upon a time. I mean, it's like OLED screens aren't anything new.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think that there's going to be a new Switch. Yeah, you can only hear a rumor so many times over so many years without being like, it's not going to happen. If it does happen, good for you, good for everybody. But I don't know. Maybe I'll pick it up if it does ever come out.
I don't think I will.
My small tangent, but I was actually playing Kirby at work over lunch one day, and for the first time that I really noticed, I noticed that my Switch was like kind of not screaming, not like PlayStation 4 jet taken off type of screaming, but in which Chris, I don't know if you've seen that yet, but
nope, not yet.
my Switch, it was like, just like running, man, with my little Kirby thing, and I was like, dude, like I'm surprised that this is screaming as loud as it is. I didn't think it'd be taking that much processing to run this little game, but yeah, it can go, and I definitely think the Switch is due for an upgrade, or that's actually one thing that I've noticed with Metroid Dread. That's, if you haven't played that one or seen that one, that's another aesthetically like astounding game. You know what I mean? Like the graphics on that game are phenomenal. But but there is limitations, because if you go from playing like PlayStation 5 to running a Switch, you're gonna notice, like, of course, the particulars, like in the shadows, the lighting, even just like the frame rate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You'll notice a huge difference, and you're like, man, this game would look so much better if they could just polish a lot of that stuff off. But the fact that they still have great looking game and running it on such a small screen, that's still astounding within itself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You guys know about the Stream Deck, right? That like basically a handheld PC that they have now. Or it's the Steam Deck. Steam Deck. I said Stream Deck. I'm an idiot. But I don't know how much those.
Noticed. You could have probably just let that go.
Nah. So those are running from like $700 to $1,000, right? And it's kind of what Mikey's saying. Like, it's an impressive handheld PC. But I've been thinking in my head, like, I kind of had that. Like, I had the Switch, right? The Switch is kind of my impressive handheld console, and I have no desire to pick up the Stream Deck for the main reason is I never use my Switch handheld. I dock it. It's always docked.
Same.
So I don't find it fun to hold it, and I don't like the Joy-Cons. I bought the Hori Pro Pad Joy-Cons so I can actually play the games, and the buttons aren't too small. But still, the only time I use that is when I'm playing AVG Endgame, right? Because, well, as Dave said in the first episode, I cheat, but whatever. I don't care.
Turbo.
Exactly. Turbo makes it so much more fun.
I mean, I use the Pro Controller. I'm pretty fond of the Pro Controller.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, I have so many controllers for the Switch now I'm thinking about it. Like, I have the Tribute 64 for my N64 controller. I have 2 of the NES controllers that I bought because I'm an idiot and I thought my kids would like.
Nintendo Online or
whatever? Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I thought about buying the Super Nintendo ones, but I'm like, when am I ever playing these games? And if I do play,
you can buy the Sega Genesis and the Nintendo 64 controller.
Right, like, okay, I have the mini consoles for all of these consoles we're talking about, and if I'm gonna play a Super Nintendo game, it's gonna be on the mini console. It's not gonna be on my Switch. So, and I already have those controllers, so I stopped myself from buying those. But I have a mini controller that Power A makes for the Switch, so it's like a Pro controller but mini. And then I have my red and black Power A controller, which I'm trying to buy another one because it's starting to fail, but I can't find another one. They're either all wired or they're $60. So, and speaking of controllers, I had to buy a PS4 controller because whoever I bought the PS4 from didn't send me a controller, one. And I was trying to use that Brooks adapter, and Miles Morales, you have to like swipe the controller like it's a phone.
Oh.
And I couldn't, like, I was like an hour and a half on stream, and I got to the point where I needed to use it, and I couldn't use it.
That is a bummer because I know you like the form factor of the Xbox controller.
Yeah. I have forced myself so far to use it. I despise the PS4 controller. Like, my hands slip off. Do y'all's hands slip off the thumbsticks?
I think, well, I had, when Black Ops 3 came out, I think I had just bought, they had like these quick revive thumbstick protectors or whatever. I stuck those on. So I didn't, for the most part, I tried to preserve my thumbsticks in general, but I also had that as well. But I mean, I kind of like Dave, like grew up with the PlayStation, so the shape of the controller really hasn't changed in the past 20 years, so it never really has bothered me. When I had the original Xbox controller in my hand, the big jalopy that thing was.
The Duke?
Dude, that was like, oh man. But
well, Mikey, when the original Xbox came out, you were like 5, so you can't even like discuss right now.
His little baby hands trying to hold on to that giant Xbox controller.
But yeah, they've obviously made new controllers since then. But
yeah. Well, no, and I think honestly, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox controller, like the modern Xbox controllers, they're really nothing to. You know, there's not that big of a difference other than analog stick placement.
Yeah. But for me, it's the way they make it. So I'm looking at them both right now. And the PS4 controller, it's not concaved as much as the Xbox controller. Like the Xbox, it's got like a divot. Like my thumb sticks in there and there's ridges around the edge that I can grip as I'm pushing. Now, the PS4 controller, and I don't know what the PS5 looks like. I'm not that special enough to have one of them. But like, so the PS4 controller's got a rim like around the joystick, but then in the middle it's convex. So now my thumb is kind of in, but not. It's not going to stay. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you're just having trouble gripping the sticks with your thumbs, right?
Yeah, it's
the way that it is because it's got that divot. Right.
Well, it sounds like it's just the thumb problem, not the controller problem.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a problem with your thumbs, dog. Because
yeah, okay.
Hey, Mikey here, we're doing all right.
Yeah, but y'all been playing PlayStation forever, where I'm crossing over.
Dude, our thumbs evolved.
Yeah, y'all are mutants. It didn't evolve. There's mutants. But I'm trying to get in your world, and it's not liking me.
Well, there was a buddy that was a while back. There was a whole other Xbox PlayStation debate or whatever, and he was like, "Well, look at your thumb, or look at your hands. Your thumbs don't, because I believe on the Xbox the joystick is up and to the left on the controller, and he's like, your thumbs don't naturally rest up and to the left. They, when you're holding the controller, they naturally rest on the center, like how the PlayStation is." It was a stupid argument, but I was like, I could buy that.
Yeah, I don't like it. Well, my argument now, like I'm not for one console or the other. It doesn't matter to me. It's a piece of plastic.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
then
yeah.
Nintendo copied Microsoft. Nintendo did not copy Sony. So just saying.
Yeah, well, you know, Nintendo and Microsoft have been in bed for a while, so
Yeah, so long
there
that
comes
when Microsoft
conspiracy
tried to buy
theories.
Nintendo, they laughed at them.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah. No, they
hey,
can't do that.
so I know we were just talking about controllers, but something you mentioned earlier about playing Super Nintendo games
Uh-huh.
on the Switch, that reminded me that my wife just picked up the Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pass family pack, or family plan or whatever. So now I've got the N64 games, the Genesis games, the Animal Crossing add-on, and the Mario Kart 48 track expansion
Yeah.
on my stuff. And for $80 for a year, I think we put her, myself, both of my kids, my mom, and my sister in that plan. So it's
Wow.
like that's a pretty good deal, I think, if you can put up to 8 people
Oh yeah.
for $80 for a year and then get all that extra stuff as well. Because
Yeah, that's not
48 new
bad.
tracks for Mario Kart, that's like a whole extra game,
Oh yeah.
you know?
48 new tracks.
Yeah, over time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
they,
wow. Yeah.
but they have eight new tracks out right now. Is that what it
I
is?
think so, yeah. I believe so. The first set
Yeah.
came out. Like
Yeah.
a new cup or something like that.
I got it for my kids, and I also wanted N64 because, you know, I got to play that Ocarina. But
There are some decent games in N64 and the Genesis collections on there.
yeah.
I saw because I was scrolling through them yesterday. That's fun. I'm gonna have to jump.
Yeah.
So this is my only deterrent with that. So with the original Wii, um, you know, they actually had games, and maybe you guys remember this, but they actually had games to where you could just buy them outright.
Yeah.
I think like because I went back and I bought the first three Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, like all these games that they already have out now. I bought those, and so now, mind you, I don't have my original Wii anymore. But that was kind of like because I remember seeing that expansion pack, and I'm like, that'd be cool. But if it's going to be the same games that I bought, you know, what was it, 10 years prior? Like I'm not really interested. Like I'm not itching for that nostalgia kick, you know. I could see, of course, I could see the value in it because obviously, if you're, you know, if you didn't have your Wii or you haven't played those games in, you know, 10 plus 20 plus years, then yeah, go ahead and do the expansion pack. That was my biggest deterrent though, because I was like, man, I feel like I've played these games throughout the years to where I've itched that nostalgia kick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
And I think that's what most people's issue is with this. And to be honest, like if you play Banjo-Kazooie on the Nintendo Switch Online, it is atrocious to what it is on the Rare Replay if you play that on Xbox, because they have them both there. And it's not necessarily the frame rate, it's just the how the graphics look is way more crisp on the Xbox over the Nintendo Switch. But I'm with
Well,
you.
is the Nintendo Switch version a straight port, or
Yeah.
is the Xbox the Rare Classics or Rare Replay or whatever it's called? Is that like a upgraded?
I can't tell you right off the bat, but I instantly noticed it was nowhere near what it is on the Xbox. So,
I
but
gotcha.
I also got it because once again I want to play Ocarina of Time, but I'm not gonna pay that $90 to $110 price for the actual physical copy of Ocarina. Like, not gonna
Yeah,
happen.
no.
So I'll pay $50 a year. And also like I got into this with Dave. Like my kids like Mario Maker. My kids love Mario Kart. I more or less got it for them. And then the Nintendo 64 add-on is kind of a bonus for me. You know, so
yeah.
and I've
Well, seeing
sorry.
well, I didn't notice. I didn't know that they also had like, you know, new tracks for like the newer Mario Kart, which that actually sounds pretty enticing because me and my wife we picked it up Mario Kart not too long ago, and then same thing. My kids my older son he would pick up Mario Kart and I'd put on the little basically like the bumpers
Yeah.
for Mario Kart, you know, so that
Yeah.
way he's not falling down every 2 seconds.
So
And,
you can buy those tracks separate too. You don't
Oh,
have
okay.
to.
Yeah.
But you don't have to buy that expansion pass.
Yeah, I
that
think it's
pack.
it's
You can-
$24 for
yeah,
the
something like that.
tracks.
25, I think.
Yeah, 25. Yeah.
But oh, hey, I'm going to tell a little story real quick. Actually, speaking of bumpers on Mario Kart,
I know the story.
y'all remember a work trip a few years ago where hey Dave, let's play 250cc or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm flying off this track, dude, and I am losing my mind because I don't understand how I'm flying off the track, and these guys are playing with me and they're just zipping along. Well, here's why: because the damn bumpers were still set up from when I was playing with my kids prior to going on that work trip, and these guys just let me sit there.
Yeah.
Let me sit there thinking I'm just some scrub at Mario Kart.
He was
And
getting
they've
so
got the
mad.
bumpers on the whole time.
Dave was getting so mad, and when he caught on to it, like Mikey and I kind of figured out what was going on, but at the time you could switch the what do you call it, the bumpers or the handicap. You can switch the handicaps on real fast and then like select your character to the point where you wouldn't notice until we got back into the track again. So that was
awesome.
fun. That was a fun night. I think we were playing Mario Kart, and then we were playing Mario Party. I think I had Mario Party on the Switch at that time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then of course Smash. I think Smash had just come out.
Yeah. I think
we were playing Smash all the time on that trip.
We smashed in every room.
Yeah, we were smashing all over that place, man.
Oh, that was
good.
good.
Our smash mark.
Really. We even had John smashing with us, and he had never smashed before.
Yeah, I know. He was a total newbie at smashing, but you know, we got him up to speed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was fun. I remember getting all the characters that trip. I think that's when I opened them all up. I took advantage of that glitch.
He was the fastest out of everyone.
Of course.
At smashing.
Yeah,
smashing stamina, you know, it's not what
it was. It was smash and dash.
Stupid. That was fun. I did want to bring up Smash HQ with both of you guys on. I'm glad I got that one off the list.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about God of War. Like your guys' history with God of War, if you played it on the original PlayStation, to what you thought of it on the PS4, and if you're excited for Ragnarok.
So
Definitely.
yeah, so my first introduction, I guess I'll just jump, was the God of War. I actually lived in Greece at the time when the first and the second one came out. So I actually played them in Greece, and I thought on the PS2 back in the day. And you know, I just fell in love with the series ever since. You know, I've had every game, like every iteration of it. Like the PSP versions, I've got the PS3 set. You know, I've got the platinum trophy in every God of War game except Ascension. I need to go back to Ascension. Yeah,
I'm surprised they haven't remastered that one. Honestly,
me too, because it was the one that came out prior to the latest one, right? The 2016 God of War.
And it was fun. They had multiplayer on there, and I remember.
Yeah, the multiplayer was okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. There was just one part where the hardest difficulty was just too much for me. I think it was the Trial of Archimedes. I think it might have been called.
Yeah,
And I just couldn't get through it. I need to revisit it just so I can say I've got the platinum in all the God of War games.
Yeah, they're awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't in Greece when I was playing God of War. That's not a luxury that I had at that time. But it was funny. So tying kind of back into Resident Evil 4. So when my brother we both still had our PlayStation 2, and he was working, and he bought both Resident Evil 4, the port that they had brought over to the PlayStation 2, and then the new God. Well, at that point it was old God of War because they were coming out with the second one not too long after that. But so he had bought God of War and he had bought Resident Evil. So I was in the room playing Resident Evil 4 for like the probably fourth time at this point. And my brother was showing me the very first Hydra battle in the first God of War, and he was like, "Come check this out." And I'm getting pissed because I'm like, "No, like I'm playing this Resident Evil game. Like leave me alone." And then he's like, just get over here. And so I'm like, all right, fine, what? And he showed me the Hydra battle. And I just got blown away. I was like, that is freaking awesome, man. Like, that is such a cool game, you know, because you're used, you know, any type of mythology, you know, like the Disney cartoon Hercules, you're used to seeing stuff like that. And then, but you see God of War and you're like cutting heads off and, you know, small, what is it, mini game series where you're just, you know, you're smashing the button. It just seems so cool, man. And just like Dave, like I fell in love with it from like right then and there. And yeah, same. Played all the adaptations. Dave, did you ever have the? I think it was the red PSP that they did with like Chains of Olympus, or
I still do. I have the one. I have the one that came with a. I had traded my original PSP away, which I kind of regret, but I did get the Ghost of Sparta version to replace
yeah,
it, and I still have that somewhere. Send you a
dude,
pic of it later.
yeah.
But
So funny, another kind of tangent, but about the special edition PSPs, I actually had the Metal Gear Solid. What was the green one? Peace Walker. I had the
yeah,
green Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker PSP, and I don't know why. I don't know what happened to that thing, man. I think I must have sold it or gave it away, whatever it was. That's yeah, just like you. I'm kind of kicking myself that I got rid of that. But uh, but yeah. So God of War, for anybody that hasn't played it, i.e., Chris, um,
For now.
we yeah, for now. Well, you saw a little bit. So that game kind of not really fell into a monotony or repetitive. I don't want to say because the games were awesome, but I really do think that Ascension they had like a fallout to where these developers, man, they put their heart and soul into God of War Ascension, which was a prequel to the first one, but people the response from that game wasn't what they thought it was. So they kind of lost their momentum. So this is after God of War 3. So the trilogy, the first trilogy, awesome. And then you had God of War Ascension, which was kind of like a prequel to kind of give some backstory, in which it was a pretty important piece to the original trilogy. But I just think at that time, God of War had lost its momentum as far as people wanting to play a hack and slash game. Um, but so obviously, I think it was like 2013. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. That Ascension came out.
yeah, I believe so. That sounds about right.
Yeah, and so and then 2000. You know, they they had been literally working on God of War 2018 since after Ascension had released. I mean, I think they may have taken say a year break or whatever, but they had been working on that game. Just really kind of where can we go with the series? Where can we what can we do different? What can we keep the same type of mentality with the newer God of War? But that's what makes I think that's what makes God of War 2018 such a awesome game is because you have that knowledge. It's don't get me wrong, it's an awesome game as a standalone game itself. But if you have that prior knowledge of like all the previous God of War games, it just makes it like so much more impactful to where um, you could really say like, man, I've seen where the series has been, and I've seen what they did with it now, and I love the two. And then of course I won't spoil anything, but I mean you may have seen some stuff now, but they bring some old elements of the first, well, some old memorabilia from the first games into the newer game, and it makes the game, like I said, it standalone, you could be like, oh, that's pretty cool, like whatever. But with that prior knowledge of what the previous games were and what entailed into the story of the previous games, like man, you could. To me, it was like I was blown away. It's like really one of those nerdy gaming moments, like you said you had with Gears of War.
Yeah.
It would probably be pretty close to that.
Okay.
Mikey, you're 100% right, man. God of War the 2018 is a masterpiece, dude. It's probably my game of the year that year. and
Yeah.
it does just fine on its own as like a soft reboot or a standalone story if that's what you want to do. But with that knowledge, just like you said, with that prior knowledge, it just adds so much more to it, as an
Yeah.
experience. And I am so unbelievably excited for the one to come
Yeah.
out. I can't wait. I
Well,
can't wait.
it was, I think it was maybe a couple years ago. I was actually replaying it, but I to kind of predict. There's a channel that is like dedicated strictly to God of War, and they were trying to make predictions for the next one, and they were some hieroglyphs and or not hieroglyphs, but the Norse,
Runes.
yeah, the runes, the language, and everything, and so that kind of got me somewhat interested, a couple years back, and I was like, I don't want to learn some of this language, you know what I mean? And so I was just like really getting heavy into it, and so I not printed out, but I had like a little picture image of like what A through Z was for the Norse language, and I was going up to like all the doors that had maybe some runes next to them, and I'm like, okay, well maybe this can mean something, and just doing some study time. If I did that towards my actual work, maybe that'd probably help me out a little more.
Yeah, me too. Like,
Oh,
turn into the
man.
world's greatest detective when it comes to video games, but when it comes to work, it's like,
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with you. That's awesome. All right. So when do you guys think the next God of War is going to come out? You think it's coming out like this November, or do you think it's going to like I'm getting at it? Is it going to get delayed again, or are we going to see it shortly?
I mean, there's been a lot of talk on Twitter lately. It's really kind of taken off. People talking about I believe it's called Ragnarok,
Yeah.
God of War Ragnarok. I haven't heard anything about any delays, and from what I understand, it's supposed to come out this year. So yeah, probably holiday season, I
Okay.
would
Yeah.
imagine.
I could see that. And
Well,
if they had to delay it, because I think God of War 2018 got delayed a couple times, if I'm not mistaken.
every game gets delayed, man. Like I don't know of
Yeah.
a game that hasn't ever been delayed.
Yeah. Well, especially in later times, and then not only from like 2016 up, games have always getting delayed, but especially since 2020 and all that stuff. That's been a big thing. So
Yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna predict it's getting delayed for two reasons. Like it's a huge game.
Put that evil out there.
It's a huge game. Like you guys are so passionate about this, and you're just two guys, but like there's thousands of people that are just as passionate about God of War. It's one of PlayStation's biggest polls, right? It's part of the reason why I got a PlayStation, because I felt like I was missing out because I haven't been able to play God of War forever. So there's that, and also Elden Ring came out this year. I think Sony is shallow enough to hold it until next year, so it doesn't have to compete with Elden Ring for Game of the Year. That's just a thought. I don't know if it's true. I haven't heard anything. That's just what I'm thinking.
I can see that. Who knows, man? Because I don't. Have you guys played Elden Ring yet?
No.
I have not, but I did buy the Steelbook from Best Buy yesterday.
Ooh.
Just the Steelbook. So one of these days I'll get Elden Ring on sale or something, and I'll already have the Steelbook edition. I also bought the Steelbook for Deathloop, and
you don't have Deathloop, do you?
Nope. And
Jesus Christ,
Ghostwire Tokyo. Those are all those are 3 games I saw. The Steelbooks were on sale. I guess they were pre-order bonuses that nobody ever picked up or whatever. I picked them up $10 a piece. Someday when I buy the game on sale, I'll have the Steelbook. All right.
I always think of you more than that, but $10, that's nothing. Yeah, that's a sandwich price. That's no problem. Okay.
Yeah, dude. I just went hungry yesterday.
Awesome. All right. Hey, I'm gonna read this Discord question real quick so we can get through this. So I don't forget, basically. Uh-oh. Let me pull it up.
Discord question.
Discord question. What the heck? Hold on a minute. Wrong button. All right. This question comes from Mr. Pro Gamer. Bro, your podcasts are amazing. Okay. Talk about your favorite nostalgic games and some favorite upcoming games. Talk about the favorite franchise collections. Cool. Thanks for the question, dude. So what are your guys' favorite nostalgia video games and collections? Like, you guys just went into God of War. Do you have another another game back from the day that you're nostalgic about?
Oh, I mean, I could talk forever about Final Fantasy VII, nostalgia involved with that, the remake that had just come out. I mean, if we're speaking about evolution of games, I think that's a pretty good example right there. Is how
Yeah,
far Final Fantasy VII itself has come from
yeah,
its original 3-disc PlayStation game to, well, now there's the Final Fantasy VII remake Intergrade, which is the PS5 version,
yep.
which I also have.
Of course, of course.
I know you guys remember my trials and tribulations trying to get the original FF7 remake when that came out. Best Buy screwed me over, but
Yeah, that's dude.
um,
Yeah.
I'm ever resourceful.
Well,
I
if you
ended up
had
getting it that day
pre-ordered
anyway.
pre-ordered the collector's edition, you wouldn't have had this problem.
It was just more money, and it came with an action figure. I was like, I've got enough cloud stuff. So
All right, so some backstory with Final Fantasy and the collector's edition. For about 6 months, I was pestering Dave about every 3 days to buy the collector's edition for no reason. I had no reason to make him want to buy this, but
none at all. You had no investment in it
none
at all.
I just
None.
would.
And even if I had, you'd have been like, "Oh, neat," and that would have been
Yeah.
the end of the conversation.
I
If
would
I'd have
never
succumbed
brought
to
it up
peer
again.
pressure.
And then you would have
But-
like sent me a picture, and I just would have like blocked you or something. I don't know.
Just been like, "That's lame."
Nerd. I just wanted
Yeah.
him to spend money. It was like $200 for it or something, but I don't know why I wanted
I
to do
did
that.
get like the special edition, all the little pre-order bonuses, and
Yeah,
steelbook case and the art book and stuff like that. I just didn't need another big old Final Fantasy VII Play Arts figure,
yeah, I got you.
and the
your
motorcycle
own.
taking up room on my shelf.
That's
You should
yeah.
make your own replica of Cloud. Carry around
What's
a-
that?
You should make your own replica of Cloud's sword.
There you
I
go.
have one actually. I have a wooden one.
200-pound sword. carrying around.
I have a wooden one that a buddy of mine made for me.
That's
As a
kind of
giveaway
cool.
gift. That's
That's cool.
downstairs. Yeah.
Mikey, what's your nostalgic game other than God of War?
Honestly, man, like all the Nintendo classics, like Kirby, Mario, Metroid,
Okay.
Zelda, like all those games are just awesome, man. And honestly, if that's what drove me to buy a Wii U also, because with the Nintendo Wii, they had Donkey Kong Country. Was it just Donkey Kong? Oh no, Donkey Kong Country Returns. And if you guys have ever played Donkey Kong Country, that was an awesome game. Not only because they, me with my music and aesthetics and all that stuff, but Donkey Kong Country Returns, like that paid such a good homage to
Hmm?
the first DKC, and so I was kind of in high hopes with the Switch. Not to say that it has let me down per se, because obviously they've released like 3 Kirby's on the Switch. They haven't released a Donkey Kong, but Super Mario, obviously Zelda. There's just a few more things that I wish that they would release. I mean, Smash, Super Mario Party, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario X, Y, and Z, whatever you want to say, Kirby, and then Donkey Kong, and then another Zelda. If they had all that stuff, like to me, that fits like the perfect package of what a Nintendo console should, and of course Metroid, should entail. Which the Switch has held pretty true. But yeah, a lot of those games, those are like big nostalgia points for me, man.
Yeah. Well, they do have Tropical Freeze on Switch because that's
Yeah.
one of the only
that one
physical games I have.
Yeah, that one I've played. That one, not saying that it wasn't good, but in terms of, because I mean, yeah, I could definitely go back and play it again, and still have a really good time. But I think Donkey Kong Country Returns, they picked up very well. Like I said, they paid a really good homage to the original, and if they could capture something like that, now the original composer David Wise, he was still on Tropical Freeze, but it didn't hit the same. And I think maybe a part of it was too is like the Kremlins on there, in the on the DK universe or whatever. Like if they would have kept those guys as enemies, which I'm pretty sure DK64 might go into that. That's one I haven't played. But you know, if they were to release another one like that, that'd be awesome. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well,
those are
what were the enemies on Tropical Freeze again? They were walruses or something,
Yeah,
right?
like
Or
penguins and stuff. Yeah. There's like
yeah,
a
it
like
was
ice
like
stuff. Yeah.
Arctic
yeah,
creatures.
Arc.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Not to say that that wasn't bad, but it was like the Kremlins, and not to say that even Donkey Kong Country Returns that those weren't the same. Those were more of like jungle type creatures. Also, you know, they might have had like a gorilla in there, and they had like bongos and
Yeah.
you know magic type stuff. Not to say that that wasn't bad. I think what made up for that though was the music. They had a really good music, and then they have a couple of levels where it was you didn't see Donkey Kong or Diddy, but you actually so like it was like a sunset, and all you saw was like the shadow of your you know of Donkey Kong and Diddy.
I
And
remember those. Yeah.
dude, those levels were awesome. Like
Yeah.
it was just such a unique turn on things, and it was almost like if you remember the original Donkey Kong Country, I want to say it was like one of the last worlds that you were in, where the lights would constantly flicker. It would turn off and then turn on, turn off, turn on, and that added like a new challenge to the level because you had to remember where you were. So to me, it kind of took me back to that, to where they were playing with lighting in the level design, and I just thought that was such a cool thing. Of course, they had the aesthetics, the music, and the level itself. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, if they made another one of those, trust me, that would be like a pre-order on the spot, just like how this Kirby was.
There's a rumor out there that Retro Studio is making another Donkey Kong. So
I hope they do, man. Yeah, I'll have to look into that, do some more research, because that would definitely be one of my go-to games as far as nostalgia goes. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, I've been thinking about replaying all of them, like doing like a stream of all the different like Donkey Kong 1, 2, and 3. And then you guys see me struggle my butt off on all of them because they're difficult games. And then
They are tough. No, Donkey Kong Country was always one of my mom's go
yeah.
series on the Super Nintendo. She
Oh
just
yeah.
loved the Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. I let my youngest son try Donkey Kong Country, the first one. He couldn't get past the first rat. Like the first bad guy, he wouldn't jump.
Little
Oh yeah,
beaver.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, here, just play Mario Odyssey. Just, I don't even want to, because like he wanted me to get past him, but you know, as soon as you get past the first one, he's gonna want me to get past the next one and the next
Yeah,
one.
pretty
Then
soon
I'm
you're-
playing, and
Yeah.
I was working on something in the house, so I gave him I gave him back to Kirby. Still, he's been playing the Kirby demo like 3 times a day, and he loves it.
You know,
That's awesome.
I wanted to say that, you know, Mikey's conversation about Donkey Kong Country for some reason reminded me of, if we're speaking about nostalgia, I've also been playing the Ghost and Goblins Resurrection
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
game. I've been
Yeah.
playing that. I bought it on PS5 and I've got it on Switch, but I've mostly been playing it on PS5. And that is a good time. It's harder than nails, it's hard as balls.
Oh,
But
man.
as it should be.
yeah, as it should be, but at least there's difficulty levels. I mean, it's a little more user friendly than, say, you know, the arcade one up I have downstairs where, you know, you die, you're done. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh man.
Yeah,
But
put another quarter in.
yeah. But you know, that game is just so much fun. It's kind of a remix of Ghosts and Goblins and then Ghouls and Ghosts. So it kind of merges the two games together. So it's not
Dude,
like a full-fledged sequel, but the you know, the art style is nice. You know, it nothing beats the original sprite graphics from back in the day. But a lot of times I remember growing up playing Super Ghouls or Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Yes, Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the Nintendo 64, or not Nintendo 64, sorry, the Super NES, and just having a blast with that. Harder than anything else that I've ever played, but you know, just such a good time. You know,
ooh, see, I'm looking
I,
at this now, and this looks really cool, man. I'll definitely have to check that out.
oh yeah, check it out, dude, because you were talking about the level on Donkey Kong where the lights flicker out.
Yeah.
Right, and you gotta
Yeah.
remember where you are. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
levels like that. And then there's
Yeah, man.
enemies that you can only attack in the dark, and then there's enemies you can only attack when it's light, and there's these candles you gotta shoot out, then
Dude,
there's
and
platforms you gotta jump, and
yeah.
it's rough, but it's fun, you know?
Yeah. Well, even so, funny story about that. my buddy Dylan from back home, man, me and him were playing. I remember we were babysitting for a family friend's get together or whatever. And so me and him were like, all right, we're gonna beat this game. We're not going to bed till we do it, whatever. And
And you haven't slept since.
yeah, pretty much. But dude, we beat the game. You know, if anybody remembers is it Ghouls and Ghosts or Ghosts and Goblins? I can't remember.
It would be Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yeah. So Super Ghouls and Ghosts, you play through one time and you get to the final boss, and then they're like, okay, just kidding. So now we're gonna send you back. We're gonna send you back
It's an illusion.
Yeah, dude. That just kicked us in the balls hard. We were like, there's no way we're doing this a second time. So,
Well, Mikey, I've
Yeah.
got news for you. Every single game in the series does that to you, including this
man.
one.
Yeah.
So-
Well, so I ended up playing it. I don't think it was an emulator. You know what? Yeah, it was the emulator on Nintendo Switch Online. Well, so if it wasn't for the pause feature and the rewind feature, I would have never gotten past that game. I don't
Yep.
think I still would have ever gotten past that game.
Yeah.
So
Did you guys know there's a
the,
pause feature and rewind feature on the SNES Classic or the
there
Mini?
is, yeah.
I didn't
Oh,
know
yeah.
that. I was watching a video the other day. I was just trying to like move folders around, which you can't do that. But they showed me a rewind feature. I was like, oh, well, now I can play Donkey Kong and actually get through it.
yeah, just 0 deaths, like Booty Pie. 0
No,
deaths.
that's not happening. All the deaths, but not game overs.
That's funny.
But sorry, Dave, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say that that Super Nintendo Classic, the mini console. Me and my mom, I bought one for her, and every time that I'm there, we play Super Ghouls and Ghosts every
Nice.
now and then. We play through a few levels or try to get through a few levels. It's like we almost cried tears of joy when we beat the the first level and the first boss, that giant
Yeah.
vulture boss.
Yeah.
For the first time in years, and without a game genie too. So it was like, oh, we did it. And it's like, well, here comes the next level.
Nice.
That's awesome.
All right.
I'm hoping to platinum that Ghost and Goblins Resurrection.
That's been out for like
At
a
some
year and a
point.
half. You haven't platinumed it yet?
No, but
That's your
I
thing.
only recently just picked it back up
Oh,
on
okay.
the PS5. Like I had it on Switch first originally,
Mhm.
because I think that's what it came out on first, and then it came out.
I
But
don't
yeah,
follow.
I'm
I don't know.
I'm just a few trophies away from platinum, but
Ugh.
we'll
yeah.
see.
You're another masochist. No, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
You'd be
So
surprised. I'll give up on a platinum trophy. I'm not gonna put my face on a cheat gun.
gotcha.
If it's doable, I'll do it.
I don't think I've ever 100% completed a game. I can't think of one. But well, no, never mind. Apex Legends. Technically, I have 100% of that game, but I don't know if that counts.
An online multiplayer game.
Yeah. Well, there's
Yeah,
achievements.
A game that just keeps growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll give it to you. All right.
All right. So let's go to the last topic. Let's talk about Spider-Man. Spider-Man on the PS4, PS5. Spider-Man 2018. It's the first PlayStation game I've completed, and I thought it was awesome. But when did you guys complete it, and what do you think of it? Like, what would you rate it at? Like, let's do a round table review.
So I probably beat it. I probably beat it within the first year that it came out. I can't say that I bought it right away, beat it right away. Again, I would like to think that I'm a completionist for most games. Again, I'm kind of like, damn, I'm not gonna. If it just irritates me to the point of like breaking controllers or whatever, I'm probably not gonna do it. But yeah, man, that was an awesome game. I actually remember, I think it was Spider-Man 2 on the original Xbox that I was playing at a friend's house, way back when. And it reminded me of that. Like it was I remember playing that, and I think you were. Well, anyway, that was a fun game itself. But this one, yeah, it was awesome, man. And then of course, me with the story. I thought it was super cool. I would say spoiler alert, but I guess it's been out for about 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
it,
now that Chris is finally beat it.
If I've
Yeah.
beaten a game, like, or like have seen a movie, you've had plenty of time to see it and beat it. Like, there's no more spoiler alerts.
yeah. Well, so it was. I just thought it was awesome that the fact that Dr. Octavius, he was developing into his character
Yeah.
as you were going on, and it was like you were in a sense essentially helping him develop into his character.
Yep.
And he was doing all this stuff like right under your nose, and then when he finally emerges as Doc Ock, you're like, it's like a shock factor. But you as the player, you're like, yeah, dude, this has been going on the whole time,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
And so,
it's like, bro, it's like, what do you think was going to happen? You've been helping him.
Yeah,
exactly, man.
their foreshadowing in the entire series so far has been great. Like, you see Miles Morales like pretty early on, and if you know anything about the Spider-Man universe, you know what's going to happen. And
Oh, yeah.
that was cool. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know,
it
the
was-
storytelling was really good. Like you guys say, or Dave and I were talking about in the first podcast, how I don't care for stories, and it was tough to kind of follow. But I could kind of see what was coming, what was about to happen with Aunt May and everything. And
Oh, yeah.
the story was really good, though. I really did enjoy it. I liked how it ended, and kind of didn't really conclude everything, but it made you feel complete in a sense. Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
It was good. It was very good.
I think
You know,
go
Mikey?
ahead.
Somebody?
Oh, okay. Hey, I bought it, at launch. I bought the regular edition. I regret not getting the collector's edition because it did end up coming with a cool statue and steelbook. And, I'm kind of a whore for that kind of thing. But when I first tried to play it, I didn't really get into it. I was like, oh, this is kind of another, Arkham knockoff type deal. I'm not really in the mood for this right now. So I didn't play too much of it, maybe played a couple hours, but there was that work trip we were on, Chris, you and I,
Yeah.
and I finally sat down and I played through it and I couldn't get enough, man. Like I played through the whole game, got the platinum trophy. I played through the 3 DLC add-ons, the city add-ons, which were cool because they just added more villains to fight and more enemies, more
Okay.
story stuff. And I really liked how in the open world that there was just like little side villains everywhere, that you could
Yeah.
just run into. And the collectibles were cool. Web swinging through the city is such a rush, man.
Yeah.
It is so cool. And I think I'm missing 2 trophies, and those are from an add-on. That is the New Game Plus playthrough and the hardest difficulty playthrough. Kind of like how I was missing them from Horizon Zero Dawn. But I'm gonna save those for when Spider-Man 2 comes out because I'm gonna play through Spider-Man again, and then I'm gonna play through Miles Morales again,
Okay.
and then
Got you.
hop into Spider-Man 2 because I'm super excited. Did you see the trailer for Spider-Man 2 by any chance? They put out a while back.
I'm sure I have seen it, but I don't remember it. I
Okay.
can't remember it.
Yeah, I mean that's not really what we're talking about right now, but keep an eye out for that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
If
probably
you
watch
really
it tonight
enjoyed this.
before I go to bed. Just to rewatch it to remember it. But yeah, I'm like a third of the way through Miles Morales, I think. I kind of a spoiler alert, but if you're watching my streams, you already know this. We just found out that Finn was part of the leader of the bad group, whatever the bad group is called right now, I forget. But right now I'm fighting her people.
The purple guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were they called?
I don't remember, but
A bunch of nerds.
I guess they're a bunch of kids. They're all teenagers or something.
Yeah, they're all teenagers.
Yeah, so going through that,
on their shoulder.
but I guess what really drew me into that game was the movement, right? Like everything like felt so smooth. Like I was having trouble for a little bit at first trying to figure out like when to do certain web swings and like when you can like catapult yourself forward or like go stick to a certain area. Like you know what I mean? Like how you can get to a certain point or you could swing, but Anyways, it's just the mechanics and the movements, what and the gameplay is what really gets me excited to play a game. And Spider-Man has it. That has really
Yep.
good, smooth, and satisfying movement. I get frustrated a little bit when Peter and Miles decide to go really fast and far. I'm trying to pinpoint a spot, but that's just me sucking at the game. So that's all that is. But
Yeah.
definitely worth it, man.
Oh yeah. Well, two small tangents. You want to make two separate.
All right, we're losing you, Mike.
Any better?
Yep, there you go.
Okay. Well, so yeah, two tangents. And I don't know if you want to make these like on a separate podcast or whatever.
Nope,
But,
send it.
well, so when Dave brought up Batman Arkham, well, the Arkham series, as a whole, like man, those are another. That's a whole nother topic that you can talk about. But I guess sticking to really Marvel, you guys seen that new Wolverine trailer? I mean, not that it's really a
Yeah.
trailer, but
Yep.
Wolverine, man, like
Yeah,
that's
it was just a little teaser.
Yeah, like a reveal. Yeah.
yeah. Like, dude, that thing got me so excited because if they could, I don't know how they're gonna make it. I mean, it would have to be a hack and slash game because I really didn't pay attention to any of the games that they released when Hugh Jackman was the Wolverine. And I did see some gameplay or uh, cinematics that they had, and I was like, man, I think it was for. I want to say it was like Origins, X-Men
Yeah,
Origins.
X-Men Origins Wolverine on the PS3 was an awesome game.
Yeah,
It was an awesome game. I loved it. It was like almost like a God of War, except obviously you're Wolverine.
yeah,
But
that's I I hadn't played that game. I had seen a lot of them, but I never really paid attention to them because with a lot of the movie game adaptations, they usually suck, you know. But I was watching some of the cinematics. It popped up
it
on
was
my
better
YouTube.
than the movie. The movie was a stinker, but the game was awesome.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say because it had the same. I think it had Sabretooth as what is his name? Anyway, the actor for Sabretooth.
Yeah, Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, Liev Schreiber. Yeah, he was in there, and then of course Wolverine. Hugh Jackman was in there, and I was like, dang man! But then they were showing some of the cinematics, and Wolverine was just putting his claws to these dudes' heads and ripping people in
Oh
half. And I
yeah,
was like,
it was brutal, man. And then it's like you as Wolverine, you're getting shot and you're seeing your skeleton, like through like battle damage and stuff, but then you heal up. It was really cool. And especially for like a movie tie-in game. It was
yeah,
very well done. I was a very big fan of that game.
that's what it gets me excited. Like honestly, man, like if they could do the same type of thing, and we know, especially after seeing Logan, if you guys haven't seen Logan, but if you have seen Logan, like dude, Logan, like kind of like what they did with Deadpool, they made him rated R, and they could definitely expand and let the character loose, so to speak. But they did the same thing with Logan, and if they did that in the video game, oh dude, I mean, it seems like they already have in the video game because can almost guarantee that game was rated M. But yeah, they could definitely follow suit. I just don't know if they'll keep it to. I mean, it's Wolverine, so I would see it being a hack and slash game. But if they make it really fun and exciting, I don't see why. I could see that being a really 10 out of 10 type of game.
Yeah.
But anyway, small tangent. We can open on that later on. But
Yeah. Like I'll have to go back and rewatch all that stuff again, or at least the reveal of that game. I'm super excited for it. That's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a really good like between 2024 and 2026, I think, with the games coming out. It's gonna be a good time. It'll be very good.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, you said you had two tangents. What was your other tangent?
Really, just the Arkham games, man.
Arkham,
Like those, yeah, those ones. I mean, they were awesome, man. It was that's kind of like what got me. I was into Batman before, but that was one of the games or the series, I should say. You could really go in depth. I think it was Arkham Asylum, the first one, and you can go along and you find out clues, or you can see prisoners that are already in Arkham Asylum, and you can just find out what they're about. You know, if you haven't read the comics, you can find out like what they're about. And I really think
There's so many cool like cameos and Easter eggs in
oh
that
yeah,
series.
well,
You
like
know,
there's a villain named Calendar Man, and one of the
yeah,
trophies
yep,
is you have to visit him on every major holiday of the year. And the trick around it was you would go on your PS3 or PS4, whatever you're playing on, and you would set your calendar to, you know, Christmas or Halloween or New Year's Eve. And
Yeah.
he would go, you would approach him, and each day of the year, he would give you a different quote. And he'd be like, oh, I remember I killed this person on this day, or I did this to this person on that day, or whatever. And it was just a cool, expansive um, thing that they did in the game to really, if you haven't read the comics or you haven't, you know, followed Batman as a character, or if it's just your first time even being introduced to Batman, like it's a really great springboard point to people that really don't know or don't know as well about this character, you know. And to me, I think Spider-Man captured that really, really well, you know, going into like Rhino, Electro, Catwoman, Spider Woman, you know, all these different cameos that they had. And I think that was not to say that they got that from Arkham, from Batman, but you know, I could see them taking some notes from that. You know what I mean?
I think it's pretty safe to say that a lot of the inspiration for Spider-Man game came from the Arkham series.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
that's like a no, I don't think that's like a secret or anything. It's right there on the wall,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah. It's not a bad book to borrow from for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Cool. All right, guys. We got any other topics or things you want to go over, or closing statements?
You know, just one thing you mentioned on your last podcast that nobody played Infinite Warfare. And
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes, I did play Infinite Warfare, and I love the campaign for Infinite Warfare because you know it reminded me a lot of Killzone campaigns and
Mhm.
Titanfall 2 campaign.
So, okay,
That's all
you're
I wanted to say.
comparing one of the greatest first-person shooters of all time
The
to one of the
campaign,
worst
the
games of all
story
time.
themes. Dude, Infinite Warfare is not one of the worst games of all time. I'm just saying that you're not giving the campaign enough credit.
Well,
I
I've
thought
never
was a
played
good
it,
story.
so
Oh,
That
okay.
one, I
There
will
you
say,
go.
that one did bring a tear to my eye. I will say.
yeah. Okay,
The
well, if
robot
I can
friend.
find it on Super Sale for less than $1, I'll buy it.
Oh, that
Just
shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah.
Walk over to GameStop. You should be able to find it.
I doubt they'll even have it in stock. What is that, a Xbox One game or a 360 game? Right? It was right there in
I had it
the
on
PS4,
I think.
yeah,
4. Well,
Xbox One.
yeah, it's probably on the
But
Xbox
yeah,
One.
sorry, I didn't mean to bring up the past, but that was one note that I took while listening to
No, I like it.
the last podcast. I wanted to
At least I know we got one listener.
hey, you know,
Well,
Taking
no,
notes.
honestly, man, it wasn't a terrible game. Again, the biggest thing for me, and Dave, I think you're a big zombies person too. Um, Not to say that zombies wasn't good on there. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. Multiplayer, I think multiplayer was multiplayer, and then of course at that point in time, I just think people were over the whole jetpack thing. And then, like you said, the story. I think the story was pretty solid. That was actually like the first Call of Duty that I had played the story in a while at that point. Like I think it was World War II that they came out with after that one, and that one I didn't play. But to my surprise, World War II was actually a little bit better than Infinite Warfare. But the campaign wise, but yeah, it wasn't terrible. It was just Infinite Warfare wasn't terrible. It was just I think they had too many different things going for it. Again, the story was good. Multiplayer, I think people were pretty fed up with it at that point. And of course, like the loot box system that they had,
Yeah.
or care packages, whatever it was.
I remember now why I didn't pick it up, because Infinite Warfare was tied in with Modern Warfare 4 or Modern Warfare remake, right? It was bundled. I was so mad because I loved Modern Warfare. Like, I loved it. Like,
Oh yeah.
and I wanted the remake, but I wasn't gonna buy Like, I wasn't gonna buy Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare, so I waited for that like year and a half before they split them, before I bought Modern Warfare again. And then I was
That's
so
right. That
bitter.
did come with the Modern Warfare.
Yep. And I
forgot
refused to
Yeah.
about
buy
that.
it. And
That was, I think for them, that was the biggest because the trailer had got, I think it still holds the worst trailer, like reveal trailer that they had.
yeah, most like disliked video or something on YouTube, something like that. And Dave says it's worth buying. Come on.
Hey, I liked Infinite Warfare's campaign. What's his name? Kit Harington, celebrity actor in that campaign.
Jon
Oh,
Snow
from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
yeah.
He was good in it. He was the villain.
Mm.
Yep,
The story, the campaign for me was very reminiscent of like
It
a
was like
Killzone
the Jackal or
campaign,
whatever.
or yeah, it was just very reminiscent of like a Killzone campaign or Titanfall 2 to me.
Those
And
are some
I
games.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Killzone is a series that I'll have to pick up again because honestly, man, I remember the launch of the PlayStation 3, Killzone. What was that? Dave, you might
Killzone
remember.
2.
Oh, was it Killzone 2?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like a big selling point because Killzone was, no pun intended, killing it.
Yeah,
but they
where's
were,
it at now? Why
Yeah,
why
exactly.
why
Yeah,
hasn't
that's the
Guerrilla
thing.
Games made a new one lately?
Well, because they've been
Ooh.
busy with Horizon,
Yeah, well that
which
Yeah.
you also need to play.
yeah, I'm
Ooh.
working on it. I have bought that game twice, beat it 0 times.
So I don't want to
Alright.
get into it now, but Resistance. Dave, have you played those games?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I want to
Okay.
get into those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to save that for the next one. But though that so again, the long list of PlayStation exclusives.
Yeah.
That's up there with them.
Okay. Is that something I can play in PS4? Is that a PS? I know it's a PS3 game, right?
You might have to have PS Now.
Yeah,
Or that new PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, not happening. Okay, I'll go
Well, I'm
without
gonna
playing
do it.
another game. No problem.
Well, I mean, all you got to do is find a PS3, bro.
Yeah. I would buy a PS3,
maybe.
like the early gen, the first gen that you can do backwards compatibility on, but I mean,
Dude,
prices
the
on
memory is so
that.
small on that. Dude, the memory is so small on that one.
I
Dude,
think
you
it's like
wouldn't even be able to
250
install
gigs.
like.
I'm only gonna
it's
have
like
one
60
game.
gigs.
Oh, is it? My brother had it, man. I remember us being able to play our PlayStation 2 games. And that was like a big thing when wireless controllers were becoming a thing. And what's it called? I remember I was like, "Hey, let me take the controller." And my brother, he was always like, anytime he bought a new system, he was like, "You got to wash your hands before you touch my controller."
Nice.
and so I washed my hands, and I was like, "All right, well, let me see if I can go outside and still play the game or whatever." Not that you would ever do that, but I think for the sake of testing it out,
Yeah, for science.
that's what
Yeah, for science.
that's what we were doing, So that was the biggest thing, man. And that was the first game he bought was Resistance, and the detail, of course, at that time, 2006, 2007. Me and him were just looking at the details with like Resistance because I think that was a launch game. And dude, that was such a groundbreaker for first person shooters at that time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's another awesome game in the PlayStation archive.
Awesome.
But
I like it. Cool. I'll have to pick up a PS3 and Resistance now. You guys are just like making me spend money.
You should probably get a Vita too, because there's a Resistance game on.
Okay. All right.
So.
I think we're
And there's
done
one
with
on the
this.
PSP as well.
Yeah, I went into GameStop yesterday and I purposely left my wallet at home, and I'm glad I did. Because I almost, like I was saying before the podcast, I almost bought The Last of Us 2, and I haven't even beat the first one. And I almost bought SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated for $20. But since I didn't have my wallet on me, couldn't buy it.
That's a must grab. No, I'm just kidding.
Why would you go if you were just going to purposefully leave your wallet?
Well, I was doing something with my youngest kid while my wife went into the grocery store with my oldest kid. So it was either walk around with my wife at the grocery store or walk in the GameStop. So
oh yeah, I would have done the same.
Yeah, be with my people,
Yeah.
Well, all right, I'm gonna end it here. We got almost an hour and a half into it, and I appreciate you guys and all the topics and all the kind words and everything. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one.
Yeah, man.
All right. Tater tots out.